The meeting is yours, Madam Mayor. Let me know if you need anything.
All right. Calling to order at 7:01 this millage workshop on 6.
I'm sorry, Madam Mayor. We're losing your audio again.
All right. Well, I am full on my thing.
Oh,
so.
there we go. It just came back. So there may be a loose connection in your headset. I would leave it at that position.
All right. You know what? Hold on
Nope.
a second. All right. Is that better?
We are hearing you.
All right. There you go. Okay. All right. So sorry, everybody. 7:01 on June 3rd, 2021. Calling to order the millage workshop. And Mr. Smith, I guess, did we get Mr. Fishlag? So are you?
I guess I'm
roll calling, I guess.
Yep.
I can roll call. I don't care.
Yeah, you can roll call. That's fine.
All right. I am present. Mayor Scripture in Gowan, Michigan. Councilmember Sampson.
Here in Clausen.
Councilmember Moffitt.
Here in Clausen.
Mayor Pro Tem Milan.
I'm here in Clausen, Michigan.
Councilmember Phillips.
Here in Clausen.
All right, roll call is there. Everybody is here. Mr. Smith, if I think, actually I give a little preamble. So I had asked because the millage discussion that was in the budget information, I thought it should have more details and more information. New people move here, more people pay attention. Some people pay attention for the first time. And we're about, as we know, that we may have to consider a millage or a Headley override in November. So in my opinion, having context and an explanation and detail, because millage is taxes, and taxes are the things that all of our residents pay to provide the services and that they receive, the pay that everybody in City Hall gets. So I think it's kind of important that everybody at least have the opportunity to understand, and only if 6 residents read it, well, at least those 6 residents got the information they needed. Maybe they don't need it today, maybe they need it later, but it's there. So that is why I asked for greater detail. And I guess I could just, was the document shared? It wasn't in part of a packet, so it wasn't sent. So I guess you'd have to share it on your screen for anybody to see it. So I will let you do that.
I will share it.
Or Ken do that, or somebody.
Kathy's fiercely raising her hand. I think she wants to say something.
I do.
Kathy?
I do.
You
I want to make some clarification because I guess there was some confusion. I thought I had asked for clarification as like which millages or which tax increments, whatever, were ready to fall off or which ones we had to reinstate. That's where my question was. And that's what I thought, I thought that's what we had asked, that I had asked for to get to us by noon today. And I guess I went back and looked at the meeting and I apologize. I must have thought it in my head, but never verbally said it. So I was a little bit confused. So that's where some of the confusion was as to, I didn't get anything to Mike and Kelly because I was expecting something from them in my head. So I own that. And so I am a little bit confused right now, just for the record.
Well, now you've thoroughly confused me. So, so it's good to share. It's good to share. I think, though, I did have a chance to look through this, not as much as I would like to, end of the day, but I did have a chance to look through it. So I think, though, your question might have been answered in here, though, Kathy. So we can let Mr. Smith.
Okay.
Although I don't know about anybody else, but I can't see very well what's on the screen. It looks like it.
Let's fill it up, the whole screen.
Is that any better?
A little bit, and maybe if I think we can change our view on this, right?
No,
So
we can't, but
Sorry about that.
Can't we get rid of us?
Mayor, you
There.
should have
I just
an
made it
option.
bigger.
Okay.
Yeah,
There,
I got it.
there.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's better.
Bear with me.
Okay.
I'm losing my. Can everyone see okay?
Yeah, this is what I was looking for. Thank you.
Make it go bigger again. You made it go smaller, full screen. Or do you not see it full screen?
When
Yay!
I do it,
There
when
you
I
go.
do it full screen, it looks like it cuts off the left side. Is it cutting off on your end?
No,
No,
Okay.
I mean, it's right on the line, but no.
Okay. There you go.
Kelly, I think you may have scroll bars. You can scroll around if you need to.
Yeah, I can't find the scroll bar.
Just use your mouse and scroll it.
Well, I know what she's talking about. Sometimes on the bottom it looks hidden. It's hard to figure out. I know what she's talking about.
Yeah, because I've got duplicate screens here, so I'm.
And it looks like that you can share your Microsoft 365 subscription. So if anybody here wants to share it, no, I'm just, it's also right up there in the corner.
I
No
think
additional
that
cost.
I think that probably this we'll be able to see the majority of it. If there's anything that is missing, I'll minimize the screen a little bit.
We can see it so far.
Okay.
So.
So I'm hoping that this answers any questions regarding millage rates. I looked through the questions Mayor Scripture had and tried to include all or most of the concerns and questions within this document. As you can see here on the first page, these are the millage rates. The first column is the type of millage. Then the fund that millage goes into. The second or the third column is the expiration date, if applicable. As you can see, the operating 2 expires at the end of this year, and that is the millage rate that we will be discussing on what to do with that. That's 1.5 million in revenue to the general fund. So if we no longer have that millage, we would lose $1.5 million in revenue. And that would hit for next year's budget. For this year's budget, we are still good for this millage.
When you say this year, that carries all the way through
21 to
June?
22, that is
The
correct.
June part, right? Not
Correct.
like
Correct.
December.
The
and
next-
okay.
The next levy would be July of 22. Are there any questions on this page? Just as a side note, Clausen Manor is taxed a little bit differently. So I included a separate column, the final column on them. And those are the revenues based on, I believe, an agreement with Clausen Manor from many years ago.
Actually, no, I think that Stacy explained that to me. I don't think that's an agreement with Clausen Manor. I think that's was something forced on us by the state. Stacy would know that for sure, though.
Stacy, can you clarify that for everyone?
That's true, is the state of Michigan.
Thank you. Do you know how long that agreement or how long that's been in place?
It's forever now, unless the
Okay.
state, yeah,
Or
Okay.
unless they sell it, right, Stacy? I mean, if a different ownership or whatever, but yeah.
yes.
Does that not have to do with subsidizing and having Section 8 and stuff in there?
It is for,
I'm
the
just seeing their
housing.
status.
right, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions as I start scrolling down?
Wait,
Actually,
I do.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Why
You
is
go
there
first.
2 rubbish notated?
One is by statute and the other is was a voted millage.
Referendum.
Which one is?
The one
Two.
at the bottom.
The one at the bottom is the voted millage?
Yes.
In perpetuity. They voted in
And-
perpetuity.
And at the end of the document, I've explained the millages and how they came to be and whether it's by statute or by vote.
Okay.
Can we, yeah, I guess we can, I kind of would like to do that now. but you have it at the end of the document, and we're all on Zoom, and I only have one screen. Because I had a few questions about that, but I guess we can, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this next section here, City of Clawson millage rate, that's just a summary of above. I've combined the operating in the library and the refuse together for the above 2 millages, I believe, for each one of those.
And Kelly, just, so the operating combined, the library combined, the refuse combined,
Correct.
those, actually, let me rephrase the question. Do all of these, not, and DDA, not so much, because not all of us are subject to DDA. That's mostly the downtown businesses, right? So we don't,
Correct.
yeah. So I'm not worried about, that's not really impacting most people. But how many of these, or are all of these subject to the rollback? I didn't think debt was, but that's why I'm asking some of these questions.
I believe they're all subject, and that's on, let's see, I'm going to scroll down real quick. Right
go
here.
ahead.
Right
Okay.
here is the mills that are authorized. And on the second column here is the 2021 maximal rollback, after rollback. So as you can see, all
Oh,
of those.
but the debt is not. You got NA here.
Correct.
Okay, so the debt's not subject to rollback. That stays at whatever rate the debt was established at.
That is correct.
And then anything that relates to something like an operating type thing, a refuse, that's all subject to the rollback,
Yes.
even the overrides.
Yes. I'm going to scroll back up. So are there any questions? That's, like I said, just a summary. Below that, I've included other entity tax rates as of 2020. That's due to the fact that we have not received those rates, or they may not have voted on the rates. I know the school district is scheduled to approve theirs in a couple of weeks, or I believe it's a couple of weeks. So that's just a tentative from last year.
And is the school stuff on one tax bill, or is it on both of them, just like everything else?
I believe that's just on the summer bill.
That's on the summer bill, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we just collect it and pass it through.
Hold on. Usually just the county ones are in the winter
So I
bill.
just want to say though, when everybody talks about their property taxes being high, the total of those mills is higher than the total of our mills, correct?
Correct. Correct.
So because obviously if we're going to be looking at an override and there will be conversations and talk and everything else, and people talk about their high taxes, that's the reason I asked about that. It's kind of an important thing to be able to talk about, to say, yes, I mean, whether you think our taxes are high or not, but understand what operates the city is actually much lower than what operates the schools. And we're only dealing with the city, correct? I mean,
That is correct.
okay.
That is correct.
Because we have no
Yes.
say over what they're set at or what anything happens for those other stuff.
Right. And just a side note, if it is not a principal resident, if you don't have the PRE, there's an additional 18% for school operating.
Meaning like rental properties or that kind of thing, if you're not a...
It's school operating mandated by the state of Michigan.
No, I mean, you said not a
Yes,
principal
yes,
resident. Oh, okay. Thanks, Kathy.
anything that's a secondary property, not your principal residence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, that is correct. I was confused as what you were asking.
Sorry.
I have a quick question. Do you know off the top of your head what our millage, what we're charging per 1,000 right now for taxes?
For the summer rate, well, I'd have to do a quick calculation just for our things, but combined, it is about 50.3 mils for the summer.
No, I think what I meant is if somebody is trying to figure out what their taxes are, you usually have a millage rate that you multiply per 1,000.
Right. So down here,
I thought I saw that.
this is a tentative rate, 50.4325, as we did not have the final rates from the other entities, but it would be about 50 mils.
So we went up.
per 1,000. I believe it was 51 last year. I don't have that document in front of me.
Thought it was 48. I could be wrong.
There's an additional fee for the 1% administration fee that's included in this.
So the 50.43 is everything all together. when
For
they
the
look
summer
at their property
taxes,
tax
yes.
bill For the summer.
Yes, that is
Um,
correct.
And that includes just school or us too?
That includes the school as well.
So all of us, okay.
Yes.
So what?
That would
I don't-
include all of these rates up here at the top. Our rates and state
Our rates and
education.
the schools.
Yes.
So how much is it if you were to apply just our rates to that amount without the school?
I could do a quick calculation and we'd add all of our millage rates.
I keep wanting to touch and move your thing. It's
I
your
know,
screen,
I know,
not
it's
mine.
very,
I keep poking and I'm like, wait, that's your screen, not mine. I can't move it.
let me see if I can do a quick calculation here. Well, maybe not. My calculator doesn't want to come up.
Fine. I can do that on my phone if I can find my calculator.
Okay,
So
it's showing here the current tax rates. The question I was asking is on principal residences, it's 47.5 for the summer and 1.8 for the winter.
And for summer 2021, according to a document I just received from Stacy before I left this afternoon, it's 46.554. 46.554.
For the summer?
Correct.
Okay, so that 50 is off, okay.
Well, those are also those are for including last year's rates for the other entities, as we did not have their final rates as of yet.
So if I take and add up all of the Clausen millage rates that you have there, I come up with, not counting DDA, I didn't do that one. I came up with 22.81.
Sounds about right.
So we would apply that to the 55,000
Correct.
that you had down there earlier,
Correct.
just to get, so based on, okay. Why does mine keeps coming up? Oh, it's supposed to be 0.2281, isn't it?
You have to divide it by 1,000.
Okay.
So it's about 1,250 for property taxes just for Clausen.
Just for
Rates.
our operating. That's a big difference between school and us. Okay, that helps.
Okay. Would you like me to?
I mean, we're
Continue?
looking like a positive bargain right now. Yes, go
We are,
ahead.
absolutely. So then I just included here a brief summary of proposal A, how the Headley rollback and Headley override work. And I believe Mike also sent a document from Michigan Municipal League on Headley.
So the 1.4% were allowed this year, because I looked that up too. So that means, and this is the part that always confuses me, the combination of we can go up by the inflation, but then they roll back at the same time, or is that inflation factor work in the rollback? It's two different things, right?
Stacy, do you want to take this one?
Even Stacy explained this to me before, and I think my head started to spin. So
The
Yes, it
inflation
does.
rate multiplier that you're talking about, that 1.04, that is multiplied by the taxable value. So their 2020 taxable value multiplied by 1.04 equals the new 2021 taxable value. So the taxable value.
oh, okay. So
increased
that's
by-
not the millage that it's increased. It's just the actual. So in other words, whatever they've assessed at that whole thing you do with all the fun assessment stuff and the
Right.
tax tribunal and all that stuff, right? So
Mhm.
whatever that final number is, like when you fixed our problem when somebody thought I didn't have the homestead anymore, or I sold, or whatever it was to, it was a new purchaser. So all of that's what it applies to. So it can only go up by 1 point. Is it four? You just said 04 and there's 4
0.04.
in here. So it's 1.04.
There is 1.014, I think, Stacy, but the actual percentage
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
1.4.
It is, I was trying to do it by memory. It's 1.014 is the inflation rate multiplier for 2021. And it's 1.014 that gets multiplied by the taxable value, the 2020 taxable value to become the new 2021 taxable value.
Okay. So then that is what those the override, I'm sorry, the rollback applies to the actual millage rates.
Right.
Okay. So the inflation factor applies to the taxable value of the home. The rollback applies to the millage rates.
Yes.
How do they figure out those rollbacks? I mean, how do they know how much they roll that millage rate back by?
Each year we get a notice from Oakland County. It's the L4028 with the millage reduction fraction computations. The county comes up with that percentage. This year.
Oh, that's the thing you showed me that day. You showed me that really long, complicated document that we were like, ow. Okay, I remember that now.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think you said something like you were really glad you didn't have to do the math on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so that, all right. So then those rates were applied to the millage rates we're looking at now from last year, because I know they went down. I saw that. So we already we reduced them by that. And if we go in for a Headley override, does that do all of the, only the, what is it? The operating two goes up, right? With the override, or do all things go up?
Not the bonds.
No, I'm sorry. No bonds.
No,
Just, I mean, very rubbish.
Anything that we have to go back for renewal will still have the same Headley amendments, Headley overrides on them. So even though we may get a renewal for 3 mills, they still have the Headley that reduces that 3 mills. Correct?
Right. And so when I'm asking in November, if we go in for a Headley override, is it only applied to that operating two? Because the operating two is the Headley override from last time, right? That's the one that would drop off, right? Operating two.
That is correct.
So all of the other ones, not bonds, but all of the other ones will continue to get the override, except the new one, I'm sorry, the rollback. They will continue to get the rollback, except the one that if we pass a new override, and that'll reset if we do. If we don't, it goes away.
That still gets the rollback.
But not this year. I mean, the first year it starts at what we set it at, and then it rolls back from there.
I don't know that.
Well, every year there's a rollback, right? You just say that, Stacy?
Yeah, the millage reduction.
Right, the millage reduction. Okay, we'll call it that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So every year we get a new millage reduction. If we passed the Headley override saying we want to go back up to our 15, the first year our percentage or our millage rate takes us back up to that amount. That's the amount of what we're voting on to override the millage reduction, right?
To make you whole at 15.
Right. But then next year, that millage reduction rate kicks in for everything and it takes it back down. So really there's only 1 year we take it up to the, right?
True.
That what we're allowed to by charter, and then it goes from there. So then I guess one of my other questions is, if we go for the Headley, for the override of these millage, the cumulative millage reduction rates for the operating two, right? That's what we're talking about. If we go in for that, do we ask for it always for 10 years or do we pick a time period? Because we asked for it 10 years last time.
I know it was February 2012 for 10 years, but
I would have to see if there's a law that stated it could only be 10 years, or I've seen other levies go for 20 years, so I'm not sure. I will have to research that.
And that's why I wasn't sure either if there was a magic behind 10 years, or just, who wants to do this every 5 years kind of thing. So I would like, it doesn't need to be for this purposes, but as we go down the conversation of the having the override millage, that would be a good thing to know. If there's a rule on that, or if that's just however we want to set it. Okay, so I think so everything else will get the millage reduction. Everything got the millage reduction this year. if we go in for the Headley override, it would only be, because it expires, it would only be for that number 2, operating 2. And that would take effect July 1st, 2022,
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay. Correct. All right.
So here's just a brief graph on our taxable values, and pardon me, but the 2022 should have not been there. So that's the projection.
So we're still not even back up to the crash.
We're getting there.
Closer, but
And we looked at this section here regarding the authorized mills and the rollbacks. Any additional questions on that?
so just when I was looking at this, I just want to make sure I'm sure. The 15 is the total, right? And then you've got override 4.2. That would be part of the 15 though, right?
That's
Or is
authorized.
it in
mills
addition to?
if It's addition.
Okay. Then I guess that part confused me too. The 15 is in our charter. I think I saw you wrote somewhere in here. That's where we get our 15 from, our charter.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so it's in our charter. So if 15 is the maximum and that gets reduced by the Headley the rollbacks and the, millage reduction, the point of the override is to get us back up to 15.
Correct.
How would we have an operating that's 15 plus 4? Wouldn't that exceed our charter?
Well, because the rollback is 9.3. So 9 plus 4.
Okay. Well, I saw millage authorized. Now I get what you're saying. Authorized is 15, but what you're saying is we've authorized the 4.2 back then to get us back up to 15. I understand the chart now. Okay, that's my bad. I wasn't understanding. Gotcha.
Mhm.
And this is where we are today with the rollbacks. Totally. Okay, I understand now.
Okay.
Okay, so then I have another question.
Mhm.
Because I just do.
Sure.
So when, and Stacy might know this a little better, well, actually the both of you together would probably have to put your heads together for this. So when we get our rollbacks, but then we also get our increase in taxable value, plus just for anybody who keeps living here, they only go up by that inflation factor, plus when someone's ownership transfers and it resets, right? We get that higher value, right, Stacy?
Yes.
For the reset. So when it comes to like things like the refuse and all this other stuff, we're going down. I think I saw your chart earlier or later on here, Kelly. So even with the inflation taking us up a little bit, even with property taxes resetting for new people coming into the community, and buying and selling, we're still going down because of the millage reduction.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So even though we're slightly going up on taxable value, the millage reduction's going down, and the way the numbers work, it's not doing it neatly like this. It's kind of right.
And that's why every city in the state of Michigan is hurting because of
Right.
Headley.
Because the rollbacks or the millage reductions aren't keeping pace with the inflation or are greater than the inflation factor, and we lose money. Okay. Well, we don't lose money. We just have less money to provide services.
That is correct. So this section here is just a description of each of the levies and how they were computed, whether it was by vote, by statute, by charter. And what, if it's a levy, what it is meant to pay for or to be used for.
So, Stacy, none of us were here. Well, some people might have been here, but Kelly and I weren't, or at least not active in this, and a few others. So when they did the refuse levy, which I don't know what the date, I was trying to find the date that we did that, and I couldn't find it.
It was 10 years ago.
Oh, so the
12,
refuse was 10 years-
2012.
oh, okay.
Oh, wait,
Okay.
refuse, hold on, I think I have it somewhere.
November 2013.
2013.
2013. So
Thank
it was,
you.
so when we did, so when the city did that, was that for the same reason that we just couldn't afford to provide the same garbage pickup services, and those services were going to get cut back? And the community said, yeah, no, we really like our Cadillac version of garbage pickup and leaf pickup and all that other stuff. So we're going to go ahead and do this override for that.
Yes.
In perpetuity. So I guess I know it's in perpetuity, but if that keeps going down for the Headley millage reduction, don't we end up hurting again in the future?
That's Headley. Yep.
Yes.
It started at 84 cents and now it's down to 74 cents.
Yeah, that's
So
what I was looking at here.
2013, it went down 10 cents.
Yeah. So when does that get to a point where, because this is perpetuity, so you can't, do we override this? You see what I'm saying? How many I mean,
You
when do
would
we
probably have to have an additional levy if you wanted to keep the same services or the
So we'd be going
services
for 3?
increased. And you
So-
have, but you, I don't have the number here, but you're only allowed so many mills. Do you know that number, Stacy, by chance?
Actually, I thought you put it in there somewhere. I thought it was 3.
No, I mean, for the entire property taxes
Oh, sorry.
combined.
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. What is it combined, Stacy? I know it's 15 for operating, so I guess the rubbish is on top of that.
Right. And then we voted for the additional 4.23, which is what's coming off.
Yeah, but she was asking what's the max we're allowed if you add up the 15, like the operating plus
I mean,
refuse.
if you were to add a police levy or something to that, that's allowed for certain things, but you're also
Gotcha.
only allowed a total. I mean, you can't have 200% of mills.
Right. Well, yeah. So, okay, so we really can't do another override of the second refuse levy because that was in perpetuity. We would have to actually create a third levy.
Well, since it has not expired yet.
Well, it'll never expire.
Yes, that's right. It does not have an expiration date. So yes, there would need to be an additional levy or cut cost or, depending on how you wanted to pay for those services.
Right. How are we sitting on that right now? Are we comfortable with it? Do we have enough coming in to pay for the services that, I don't know, everybody, I swear.
for
Like leaves are the
sanitation.
most important thing in Clausen. Everybody knows that. Don't mess with the leaf pickup. So, and we all want to get every couch ever put out on the curb has to go. So all that's safe for a while, right?
Yes.
We gave
And we
up
couldn't
our,
have all of the community of our surrounding communities putting couches on our curb if we got rid of that either.
we did have to give up our brush pickup though.
Did we? We had brush pickup?
Yeah, we used to have brush pickup when that rubbish renewal was put through back in 2012 or whatever. That's when we took away the brush pickup.
Wait, they still pick up my brush if I twine it and twig it?
If you
or
twine it, they pick it up with the compost. But you used to be able to put branches out there and they would actually chip them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is something that we did lose when that was discussed many years ago.
Interesting. Okay.
They used to
And
also
you would,
have
and that would, yeah, and you would want to look at that too. If the costs were more than what you were bringing in, you may have to reduce some of the services.
And that's why that one went away.
Yes. So I'll
So you
scroll
gotta
up.
say, no brush, they only pick up combs now.
What?
Said, no brush, they only pick up combs now. You gotta keep
I
going.
got it. So the library, same thing. We have our normal library. We obviously voted in another additional one. Does that one expire?
I don't believe
I
that
thought-
one expires. Let me
Yeah, I
look.
thought you had a note somewhere. I can't remember where.
Library.
the library
Uh,
is not
no
an
expiration.
expiring.
No
Oh, so the
expiration.
second one doesn't expire either. That's just like the rubbish, right?
Correct.
So if we need to do additional library funding, we would have to do a third levy, similar to rubbish. Okay. How are we doing on the library then? You okay there?
The library
That
is in
one
good
looks like
shape.
it went down. Well, no, we're pretty good. That one hasn't gone down that far. Okay.
And
And
of course,
Bond debt. What was that? It was all for streets?
that, street, sewer, water. I added a little additional information after Mike sent out the packet. I got the millage wording from August, so I included
Oh,
this
cool.
in here. So
Thank you.
mhm.
So this was the actual wording, which was reconstructing for what it is and related improvements, repairing water and utilities. And that expires in 2030. So that's, I guess this, so it's a bond levy. The bond is paid off in 2030?
It must be.
Okay. And is any of the sewer and water stuff on the water bill, or is that just all bond debt in here and operating?
I don't think any of for this particular debt is on the water bill.
It is
I think
not.
it's the bond thing on the water bill is that Kuhn stuff, right? I don't think it's this thing.
Yes.
Okay. And then, and the drain levy wasn't ours, was it?
Yes.
It was ours?
hmm That's our
Okay.
levy.
I wasn't sure if somebody else levied it and we had to pay a portion of their levy because we're in that Kuhn drain thing. So this was specific to just us.
I can't. I honestly do not know which drain. I'd have to take a look. But,
Yeah. Kathy, do you know which drain? You know all this stuff. Remember what that was?
I think drains in general.
Right.
We're,
Yeah.
we're allowed by statute.
That was just totally separate from the Kuhn drain, absolutely.
Okay. So that's completely
Talking about the
separate.
sewer debt
No, the
Well,
drain
she's-
levy.
The drain levy.
from 2009, that
I don't
was
know.
sewer debt used to be on the water bills, and they took it off the water bills and transferred it to taxes by a vote of the people.
Thank
Or
you.
no, that wasn't a vote. Oh yeah, it was an election. In 2009.
So it moved from the water bill to taxes, and that's the levy that we pay off in 2030. Okay, or 29. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we know about parks because you just passed that one.
And it was the North Arm drain debt, which will be paid in full.
Oh, so that drain up there is the North Arm drain debt moved over
Yes.
to taxes. Okay. The sidewalk debt, I have a question on that real
Mhm.
quick. So I read that too, and I read what wrote in, can't remember, I think I read it in one of our old CAFRs. Maybe it might have been last year's or the years before, but it talked about basically the sidewalk debt because that's usually where you get a good description about stuff. And it said, construct improved sidewalks like you have here related, I can never say that word. Say that word, Kelly.
No.
Oh, that word. And I think what I read, or I don't think I know, what I read in the CAFR said that also included ADA ramps. And
Oh, never mind. I said
That
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
that. That would be that word.
yeah, an appurtenances or whatever would be an ADA ramp or some extra stuff. Because I had asked the question, I think I might ask Matt, I can't remember who I asked, trying to figure out, I was trying to understand why we kept separating out the ADA ramps when we had just got a new whole, we already passed the sidewalk debt. And I don't think I ever really, he got a clear answer from him, or maybe he didn't know, or maybe he was going to look it up and forgot. I have no idea. But he thought the sidewalk ramps weren't part of it, I thought. And I guess my question is, are they or aren't they? And if they are, is the reason we're not including the ADA ramps, whatever ones we have left to do, in the sidewalk work under the sidewalk debt because we didn't ask for enough money to pay for all of that?
It may be cost related. I'll do a little bit more research.
Would
on
you
it.
mind? Because I really would like to understand
Sure.
that, because go ahead, Kathy. Just interrupt me. It's
question.
a workshop.
I know in the past, on the tax roll, we used to have $25 special assessments for sidewalks.
That's
When
this.
did that go
replaces-
away?
This replaced that.
Right. When did that go away is what I'm asking.
2017. I'll check for sure. But I can tell you the proposal on the ballot for the November 2017 election said that it was $2.125 million for the purpose of paying the costs to acquire, construct, and improve sidewalks in the city, including all related appurtenances.
Okay.
You said it. You rock.
She just wanted to say the word.
Okay.
But that's the ballot language.
I knew it was gone. I just wondered when that happened.
And the
Okay.
first part we got in 17, and we held off on getting the second part until now. And that's, you guys just recently got that big old fat check for issuing the second part of the bonds, right?
Correct.
And all of the both sets of bonds now are included in the tax number. Okay. That was my other question. I wasn't sure if it was both sets now.
And then final is just a chart showing how the tax rates have dropped or stayed the same or fairly the same.
And this is what I was talking about earlier, where that inflation factor is only going slightly up, but the override's going more like this, right? Or the reduction, and that's what's making the whole thing go down. Okay.
Is the the library debt for the rebuild of let me start over. Is the library rebuilding and remodeling paid off?
Yes,
Or are we still paying on that?
that is paid.
Okay.
That's the one she showed 0 up there, Kathy. I
Okay.
think that fell off this
Yes.
year, right, Kelly? That, yeah.
I'm not sure if it was last year or this year, but I think it was this year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And you said it was 1.5 million that we drop off on that if we don't do an override.
Well, if we were to drop it off today, it would be 1.5 million. Next year, it may be 1.3 million. I don't know.
But I mean, give or take, yeah. But,
Yes.
yeah. If that just goes away, 1.5 million goes away, and that would be 1.5 million. That's all general fund.
That is correct.
No special revenue, none of this other
No.
stuff. It all would be general. So anything you see under general fund would have to take we'll go with your 1.5 because why not? It would take a $1.5 million haircut all the way, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And all right. So any other questions? Since obviously I get interested in this stuff, but everybody else is bored stiff. Lou, I didn't hear anything from you, and usually you always got something to say.
I'm learning a lot today.
That's a good thing.
Is that your profound statement?
That's
Any
it.
other? No questions? No.
What
Go
is our
ahead.
budget? Real figures. How much was there? You said you would lose 1.5.
So up here, if you look at this column here under taxable value of $408 million,
Yeah.
one of those lines beneath it is revenue associated with that millage. So 3.8 million is operating rubbish, 763,
So that
operating 1.5.
So that 9 million drops.
No, the 1.5.
No, the
million drops.
1.5 million. Oh, the
Not two.
9.3 million would be reduced by 1.5. Yes.
Yeah, that'll drop to 700 or something.
Correct.
7 million.
Yeah, but remember, you can't shift, like the rubbish can't shift to something else. It has to
No.
stay paying for rubbish, and same with the library, and well, that's debt, but no, the library operating. So, I mean, it's a general fund hit.
So the 3 million goes down.
The operating 2, which is 1.5. So 1.5 plus 3.8 million is all general fund dollars. So
Okay.
that's approximately 5.2 million. So that 5.2 million general fund revenues would be 3.8 million general fund.
Right. Yeah, you have to combine op and operating too, Lou, to get your total
Yeah.
general fund. And then, so the way she's laid it out, you just cross off 1.5 and all you got left is 3.8.
Yeah.
So, and well, plus our little 37,000 for Clausen Manor.
Correct.
Us Manor pay taxes?
Yeah, that's what she was saying. Yes.
Yes, in this last column here, that's the amount of taxes that they pay. I did not total it, but it's approximately 60,000 maybe.
Actually,
Wait.
I appreciate you separated that out like that. Thank you.
So Clausen Manor pays
And they-
50,000 in taxes?
Correct, and it's based on their taxable value, which I believe is maybe
2008.
1.3. How much was it? 1.3 million or something?
Yeah, I think that's the one we were saying a little bit ago that the state required.
Right.
The state set that. They just told us what they were going to pay in property taxes, and that's what we get.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that state was actually paying some taxes on it, not totally screwing us over.
Not totally, just partially. You know.
The state throws their tax rate at the 2008 tax rate and the 2008 taxable value. So they don't pay any new taxes, and they pay the taxes the summer and the winter all together in November because the state makes up their own rules, which they can do. So instead of paying in July like everybody else, they pay in November, and they just make the one-time payment. And it's the same amount every year since 2008.
I'm gonna become a state.
State of Kathy. Okay, so any Lou, you said you didn't have any other questions. Is that
No.
it?
Nope. That
Councilmember Moffett, did you have anything?
No, I think Kelly's done a great job.
And Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any?
I do not have any questions. Kelly, thank you for putting this together. But going forward for the next session, Mayor Scripture, you mentioned you had 4 pages worth of notes. Can we see your notes that you submit to them so that if we have questions, we can build on the same ones that you submit?
I
know
can't
what
send
we're
you my
going on?
notes because that would be a violation of the Open Meetings Act, but Mike can send you my notes.
No, I meant according to the appropriate process, of course, but I kind of thought that's what we were getting here too, which we didn't need it. It's fine. But I'm going to guess the next one's going to be a little bit more, you said it was going to be.
Oh, it's
in
gonna,
the
yeah, it's
weeds
weedy.
and
If
extremely
you thought this
technical,
was
so-
weedy, that's going to be very weedy.
I
But
didn't think
yes.
this was at all weedy. This was really simplistic and very well put together. And even the information that we had was enough. I mean, which is what she just ran through. But I'm glad that other people got an opportunity to see it. So that's good. Education is always good. But moving forward, I just want to be prepared for the next one. Seeing how you prefaced it, that it might be a little bit more. I just want to be prepared for that. So we can
Yes,
just, you know,
The mayor
Thank
did
you.
send it to me, and I will be sending it out along with my weekly report.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, that is what I created after taking 8 hours on my weekend and 8 hours off of my job, vacation time. So, and it's still not done, but Kathy set her little noon deadline for me without asking me if I had to work for a living.
And see,
So-
I thought that deadline was for something else in my head.
Ah, so you didn't mean to make me take vacation
No.
time for no reason or
So
this reason.
you can come and borrow 8 hours in my pool someday
Woo! Outstanding.
for
Can I
me
get
to
a
make
little,
up for that.
I'll take at least an hour of snuggles from your dogs too.
Okay, you could have them.
No, snuggles, not the dogs. So yeah, I sent out what I could pull together because I was operating under a sense of a deadline, but I have a few more questions. I just didn't have time to develop them. Although some of the responses and what I said in that is that they would organically come out of some of the answers to what I've asked. So I can't anticipate all the questions, but it was a starting point.
Let
And
me
I
make
did
a
send it.
comment. If the budget had been presented to us in this way, shape, and form, I would have so much appreciated it. This, what Kelly presented, is so much more readable and understandable than the other drafts that we got for the budget. Those told me nothing.
And what we got last year,
Pardon me?
what we got last year. I mean, we got exorbitantly abbreviated version last year, but there wasn't all this consternation. I just find it funny.
Well, but look how
Laugh it up,
easy
but-
look how easy this is to understand. Way this is spread out like this. That's all I want to see in a budget. I want to see this is what we had budgeted this year. This is what we're looking for next year. Where are we getting this extra money? There's 3 questions.
Well,
And we're-
honestly,
I'm
my
sorry.
biggest concern was that people should understand the taxes they're paying, especially since we're about to go for an override. And that little tiny chart that was in all the stuff we got was completely insufficient to do anything like that. And now, I mean, I now have talking points as we go up just from this alone, the 1.5 million we would lose. It would be from here. I mean, should have been foundational to November, because November's coming fast, foundational to going in for that override. And everybody should always understand these are your taxes. This is what we pay to the city. This is what our job is to understand this and to set these rates. And I'm not setting a rate and voting for it unless I have a full and complete understanding of it. So now I feel like I have a much better understanding.
When do we have to pull the trigger for get it on November ballot?
Well, that was a question I was going to ask Stacy.
Wait a minute. We have to decide as a council that that's what we're going to do. You're talking
We're not there yet.
We have not decided that. We have not had open discussions about it. It is not a done deal, a thing that we're doing for sure. So we need to stop talking about it in that context.
We're not. We're talking about it in the context of now I can say if we don't do it, it will cost us $1.5 million. That's
We
a
just
simple thing to
when
say.
we're doing it. The question is if we're doing it before we get to when.
That's fine. I didn't say when, I said if we do it.
How about what are we even talking about? What are we talking about doing? Because that's not what this meeting is about. We've not talked about doing anything. We know there are things that we need to address, but we've not addressed anything in a manner that would say this will be our next move. We're looking to make sure we're prepped to do this. So can you be transparent and tell us what this possible thing it might be?
What are you talking about?
We don't
This will
know.
be the Headley override in November, which Mike said to you in your budget workshops, which has been said here tonight 10 times. It's the
He
one.
said to all of us in our budget workshops, I understand that, but it seems like there's a plan for something. I'm curious what the
What are you
plan
talking
is.
about, Paul?
to
There's
pull
no
the
plan for
trigger
anything.
And all of that. Okay,
There's-
fine. We'll figure it out later, I guess. That's okay. I'm just
No.
curious. It just seems like there's a plan for something. I'm asking if
Well,
there is
you
a
know
plan.
what? Knock it off. Okay,
I'm
I'm not running for mayor. Okay,
I don't
You-
care if you run
Okay,
for mayor.
I'm
I don't
enjoying
care
the
if
fact
you
you're
are
running
mayor.
for
I don't
mayor in
care about
every
that.
meeting.
Reese. That has
Enough.
nothing to do with today.
Point of
That has
order.
nothing to
Point of
do with
order,
it.
please.
Everything. I'm tired of your aspersions. Oh, what secret thing are we doing? There's no secret
Oh,
thing.
right, because you're so honest and so transparent. You're right. I
Headley
should have
override.
asked questions. I'm
This
not
is
allowed
the-
to ask questions.
You guys, this is exactly why we can't
Kathy,
get
nobody
anything
needs your
done.
input. Your
Oh my
place.
God, you do not talk
doesn't
to her
help.
like that.
Oh, right. Right. Only you are allowed to talk like that to me and other
Yeah,
people,
and you can
right?
talk it back to me. I can become anybody
I didn't come here to argue. My words were not
Clearly,
even
you came here to
argumentative.
argue. You
I was
cast
asking you the
aspersions. That
question.
means you're starting an argument.
Oh, no, I said something you didn't like, which means I started an
You
argument.
cast aspersions. You
No, I
implied that
didn't.
there was something secret going on.
I was asking a question. I asked a
Mhm.
question.
And you should
Listen, I
think
asked
about
for
how you ask those.
clarification. I don't get the notes in advance, so I don't know what I'm allowed to say.
I'm sorry, what notes in advance? The fact that
Oh
I'm
my
reading
God,
my own and I
guys.
ask questions?
In a meeting, this is not it is not decided that we're going for a Headley override. That's
Of
a
course it's
decision.
not.
Right. So the question of when we're going to do it, or to say, what you said earlier, go back and watch it, because we're going for a Headley override. And that's what I took offense at. You were talking as though it is a done deal, and that is not appropriate. Roll your eyes all you want. But that is a council.
Sorry, I
decision.
lost a word in there because we need to discuss going in for a Headley override because it's been mentioned several times. I apologize for missing a word in
No,
my
it's that
statement.
it's the illusion that it's decided by someone else other than council. It is a
Okay.
council decision.
How about even if we weren't going for a Headley override, the little chart that was presented was ridiculously uninformative. And this is exactly what everybody should understand, which is what we pay in taxes, how much, how, all sorts of fun details. How does Headley work? This is great. This is wonderful. Kelly, you did a fabulous job. Thank you for paying attention to what I wrote and asked for, because I think you covered it magnificently. Everything that I asked for, you included excellently, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
I have a question about an issue. Stacy, I have a question for you. Your comment, and I think this meeting probably should have been set differently because of your comment. Your comment at the last meeting is that you need to get approved rates back to Oakland County. What is the deadline that you needed that by?
Well, the schools are having their board meeting on a Monday night. Sorry, my
This
computer's
next-
over here. I'm looking at my calendar. The
Next
schools
Monday
will-
or?
No, the schools have their board meeting on, I believe it's Monday, June 21st. And they promised me they would have their signed L4029, which is the tax rate. And once I have that, then I have the ability to send the bills to the printer to be proofed. And
So ours is before that. So if we approve the millage rates at the next regular council meeting, we hit
Fine.
the same thing as school and you have enough time.
you'll still be a week ahead of the school if you do
Okay,
that.
cool. So by waiting until that meeting, because I got the impression that we would be holding this up, but what you're saying is no, as long as we do something for you that by then or at that meeting, you're good.
Yes,
You'll meet your deadline with the school and
Yes.
with, okay.
because I can't send the bills to the printer until I have assigned, all the L4029s are signed, and that
Okay.
can't happen until after the next school board meeting.
Which is after
They've
ours.
given me their numbers, and that's good, but I would be more confident having it signed because that's the proper way to do it.
Okay, perfect. So we do have time and we're not holding you up. That's what I wanted to make sure of. Okay. So
back to-
Kelly, you'll make sure this is on the next agenda, obviously, so we can get that for Stacy, right? Perfect.
Back to my simple question that started a big riot. If we did a headlight override, that'd be November. What day do we have to have our decision by? Is the last day that, we can put it on the ballot?
Ballot
August 10th,
language,
August 10th is the deadline, but you
Okay.
need to have it prior to that. So of course, we
Yeah.
prefer to have it probably that first meeting in July, have a discussion or set a workshop or whatever that we need to do for the public hearing to notice that, however you want to do that. But August 10th is that's the last date by 4 p.m. that we have to have the language to the county.
Boy, that was such an easy question to answer too, wasn't it?
August
Thanks.
10th is coming up quick too.
Yeah, it
Thanks.
is. That's why everybody's gonna sit around yelling at each other, tell them that we gotta.
Process is important, Lou.
What'd you say?
I said process is important. Words
Yeah.
are important. You asked a question as though it was a preconceived notion. And that's a problem. And that's.
All right. Anybody
that's
have any
why
more questions on this bill
people
or on
have
the,
conversations.
there's no more questions? And if everybody, because I will say, I feel comfortable voting yes on this at the next meeting, total understanding, and I can explain it. So if everybody has that same comfort level, because I believe that's what they need us to do, is to vote yes on this, then, and with no more questions, I think.
Making a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I do have one thing. Kelly, can you make sure this is included in the next packet? So, because the community didn't get to see this, but they could see it in the next board packet, right? Or council packet.
Yes, we
Thank
will.
you, thank you. Thank you. Yes, go ahead, Lou. Motion to adjourn?
Yep,
Excuse
motion
me.
adjourned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes?
Right. So I would just like to clarify. I was not making accusations to you. All I was doing was questioning a series of things that have been said to try and verify whether there is a plan for something in the future or not. That's all I was doing. I apologize that you took my words inappropriately. I am not here to cause problems for anyone. I am not trying to second guess what is going on. I just want to know clearly if what I hear is correct. That's why we have workshops, so that people can understand and be on the same page. So moving forward, I hope you do decide to run for mayor again, because you're very good at certain things like this. You're really excellent at this. And I appreciate that you allowed the public and the rest of us to be educated on this, but I'd appreciate it if you would not just assume that a question is meant for ill intent, because it is not. When I do have something that's meant for ill intent, I think you will know for sure. So thank you for allowing me to say that.
I second the motion to adjourn.
I was gonna ask, did we get a second? All right. I don't think we need to do roll call. Just all in favor?
Uh,
Everybody? Nobody's saying stay here all
Hey,
night?
no, do a roll
What?
call. Do a roll call so that we're proper every time.
So
All right.
Mike has it every time. All
Councilmember
right.
Moffett.
Yeah.
Councilmember Moffett.
Yes.
Yes. Councilmember Sampson.
Yes.
Mayor Scripture.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Milan.
Yes.
Councilmember Phillips.
Yes. Thank you. You did a great job, Kelly.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks,
Nice.
Stacy.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Mike.
Nice job, Kelly.